Hello and happy Monday. Happy Valentine's Day, y'all. Okay, let's make sure things are working because this morning my technology has been a hot flippin' mess. So it, oh my Lord, the internety thing went left, right, and center, and I had to restart that. And then it was trying to hook up to my mobile to do it's been cray, cray, cray. Okay, so I am live here, and that is global, yay, and I'm live on the YouTube. So yay, okay, good. So we're gonna all good to go. Today we have a big week in the energies. So that said, so really quick, if you are watching on Facebook, you can comment live. If you are returning and you're watching the replay on Facebook, just hashtag replay so I can come back and chat with you. If you are on YouTube and you are live with me, you can kind of go over here and chat live. Or if you are watching the replay on YouTube, you can go down here. Couple of announcements really quick, just new offerings. I have my clarity conversations that I've started, and also prosperity pep talks. There are two different kinds. They're both an hour and a half. And people are always like, why do you do hour and a half sessions? It's a long time. Well, it's really interesting. So if you've ever done session with me, these are intuitive coaching sessions. So it's a blend of intuitive channeling and woo-woo stuff, as well as coaching, which means whatever comes up in the woo-woo and the whatever spirit messages come for you, it's okay, we're going to coach you into creating commitments and intentions from those grounded spiritual breakthroughs. And that way you can take that with you to go and take some action towards healing whatever's going on. So the clarity conversations is, I just don't know what the hell I'm doing. I have such muddled thoughts right now, which, let's be honest, is a lot of folks. There's a lot of wonky energy going on, but that's okay. We're going to talk about it in a minute. But that's what the clarity conversations are about. As we come into this new, we're going into mid-February, so we do have a lot of people kind of getting some traction. We're coming out of this other energy and we're going into this new, but you still have some like shadow work coming up and some, but also seeking that more stable, secure energy because of the way the nodes are going right now. We'll talk about that too. Secondly, the other thing is the prosperity pep talks. So if you are a manifestor, you either worked with me in the past, maybe you haven't worked with me, but you found me and you just love the manifesting thing. You do all the things and either stuff ain't working or you had your mojo and now it's gone or whatever, and your manifesting is just not on point. So we do a session to figure out what's going on, what can we do to change it, set you some inspired actions, and send you on your way with a plan of action to get you back on track. So those are the two new sessions. Again, they're both an hour and a half. And you can find the links for them if you're on Facebook. I believe they are up here. And if you are on YouTube, they are down here. And that's another thing. I'm thinking of just going back to doing YouTube channel stuff because I don't know, Facebook doesn't feel super awesome. So that may be coming in the future, but right now we're just going to stick with like slowly dripping out the new things. And the new things are the two new offering of session of prosperity pep talks and the clarity conversations. And then also, if you are new to manifesting, say you're new, you just found me. Hi, I'm Soul Coach Michele. I am your friendly neighborhood super woo and manifesting coach. And if you need a primer or you just want a different perspective on how to manifest stuff in your life, go down to the link in the blurby here that talks about the free mini manifesting course that I share. Okay, so all that aside, let's see. I think that's all the announcements. Let's get started. So we got some stuff going on. We're currently in the build into the full moon that is happening on Wednesday. And if you're like me, full moons are always kind of like, new moons are a little bit worse for me. Everybody's different. But this full moon, let's talk. So the way this stuff works, just so that you know, is we layer the meanings together. Okay. Or at least that's how I do things. And so when I see full moon, I think, like most people, release, gratitude, kind of harvesting the intentions the manifestations of the intentions we planted, whether it be in the previous new moon or the matching new moon to this, which is, I think, usually about 6 months ago. Anyway, so for this particular full moon, we're in Leo. Leo is all about how am I showing up in prime time? So even if you're an introvert that seems like, oh, I don't want to be seen, I like to go and read my books, all of this business, you still have a part of you that is that inner yeah, theater major, that inner person who shows up and shines. Everybody has that within themselves. And so the Leo is inviting you to kind of look around and say, okay, where am I being called to show up and shine? Where am I being called to give my gifts out to the world and even to myself? Where am I being called to do this? Um, and then lastly, when we combine all of this stuff, and I'm being called to do this, when we combine all of this stuff with the North Node in Taurus and the South Node in Scorpio, North Node is where we want to get to, and so South Node is where we want to leave behind. You got a couple things going on. So Taurus being like, I have a Taurus at the house. Well, he's not here right now; he's at work, but personifies the Taurus kind of mentality, which a lot of times people think Tauruses are hard-headed, which he can be. But when we talk about where we want to go, Tauruses are also like that comfy t-shirt or robe that you have. It makes you feel safe. It makes you feel secure. It's it's stable. Like if it's hanging on the bathroom hook and you're needing your whoopee, you just go get that whoopee. That's Taurus North Node. Feeling like very simplistic, hygge kind of lifestyle-y stuff, like that warm cup of tea, that go-to that is simple and just makes you feel peaceful and safe and secure. It's like the feeling of a happy root chakra. Okay. Whereas Scorpio is the opposite of that. Scorpio is about your shadow. Scorpio is about, walking the path of most resistance because that's where you find your shadow. And it kind of is a sense of, bringing those wounds out to the surface. And it's almost, anytime we have these where you have the medicine for that stuff being the North Node, the Taurus, the Whoopi, the Hygge, and it's not just I'm going to put my warm and fluffy robe on so that I don't feel these things. It's more I'm going to do this so that I can say, where can I simplify so that I can work my shadow and make it my friend versus trying to get rid of it, trying to put on the robe to forget about it. Okay. So when we layer all that together, what does that mean? Okay. It kind of means, and I have my notes over here that I wrote all this out this morning. So all this is going to kind of come to a peak on Wednesday, Eastern time, 11 a.m. from what I'm seeing in my moon calendar. And it'll last all the way till it says over here till February 20th, which is Sunday, but in the wee hours at like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning. And I'm speaking Eastern times. So what does that mean? It means you're being called to shine your light. Leo, where am I putting on all my makeup and showing up and being, and where, like from Will and Grace, where he's like, just Jack, where is my just Jack moment? Where am I being called to do things? And even if I am a introvert, like I said earlier, even if you're an introvert, everybody has these things about themselves where they're being called to speak their truth, being called to step more fully into who you are authentically. Integrity of self is a huge energetic thing in the energy for this year and next year. So understanding where can I step more fully into alignment with myself. That's what I'm being called to do. And the full moon is there to shine the light, and the nodes are there to say, okay, it's time to, choose the simplistic route, Taurus, but you're going to have to wander through the shadow of where am I holding myself back, Scorpio? Where am I, where are my limiting beliefs and my fears showing up? Okay. In this conflict with shining my light. So you might be starting to ask yourself, you might have these ideas. Where am I being called to shine my gifts? These happy ideas. Where am I being called to step into my truest form of me, speaking my truth? Showing up in the world with my shoulders back and my head held high, and I am me, and this is what we're doing. And then also, what usually comes with that, especially I'm seeing this with my clients in the manifesting mentorship, is we're starting to lay the groundwork of these are my callings. This is what I'm calling to desire into the world, to manifest into the world through myself. And then the second thing that comes around with that is, ooh, I got some limiting beliefs and fears around that that's going to be my block. And so usually what happens is we stop there. So I want you to push through that. And I want you to start asking yourself, what's coming up for you? Are the things, when you think about the stuff of stepping into the alignment of the fully, more true form of yourself, is usually what comes up is, am I capable enough to do this? Am I worthy to do this? Do I deserve the benefit of doing this? Um, what are others going to think? That's a biggie. Usually, like, if I show up truly as me, will I lose friends? Will I lose my support circle? You might, but what usually happens is it's a shift. What happens is some people fall away, and then people that are attracted to the true version of you show up. Okay. And then, just kind of like really thinking about, where am I holding myself back? And it might even be analysis paralysis about your shadow. Um, and then what you can do from there, once you start doing that, you kind of sit down and say, okay, what about this is a story I'm telling myself? Are these statements, these limiting beliefs, true? Probably not. Most times they're not. Sometimes they might be, they might have like a little bit of truth, but usually they're not true. And then kind of flipping it and say, what is true? Lean into that energy of Taurus of what works, what doesn't, and what am I going to do about that? What am I going to choose to let that go? So I do want to read you something before we jump into the cards to kind of get some support around this too from Spirit. And it was funny because this came to me like, one of my friends, she always talks about, well, I open my emails or I Google something and the first thing that pops out. And this was one of the things that popped out. And it's been on my mind. And I just think it's so true, especially right now. And with the fact that we have this time frame of this week into Sunday to kind of really be encouraged and supported by the energy of the week, if we can look at it from an opportunistic point of view and say, okay, what do we want to do with this? Okay, so one thing I read recently, and it stuck with me, is this gal Camille Gray. She wrote an article, and this is back in, I think, January, about North Node being in Taurus and South Node being in Scorpio, and the invitation to a lot of folks that think they're stepping, they're talking about it. The invitation is to get rid of your junk, to really heal those wounds, those inner child wounds, those traumas, all that kind of stuff, to heal the pain and keep the wisdom. And so what she talks about is, a lot of folks will choose to do it and a lot of folks will choose not to. And whatever you choose is fine, but understanding what you're choosing and being honest and with integrity with yourself about what you're choosing. So a lot of times that doesn't happen, but I think a lot more folks are starting to really do that, whether or not, and because it's not fun to like say, oh, I'm embracing an excuse. But I do want you to realize, if you are using a veiled excuse to not move forward, and turn your trauma or your pain into wisdom, that's where you're going to get stuck. So right now, though, the energy of this week is really supportive of you actually doing that. It's really interesting because what she said was, and I love this, this is so like great as far as like what the contract says. She said, this kind of thing can show up as chronic psychoanalysis, making us savvy, and I love this, making us savvy about our pain, yet never free of it. What that means is we can be sitting here all day, like doing all the woo woo shit, doing all the things where you're like, well, my zodiac sign says that this is why I do this. I'm this number in the Enneagram, and that's why I do this. We have always thought about money in this way in my family. Or I never find the right partner. Or I was raised by a traumatized parent, so I too carry that wound. Okay. These are, I mean, if this is stuff that, and I've said these things, like, I'm a Virgo, so I'm total pain in the ass. Right. But if we claim those things, if we claim them, we're getting stuck in the data and we're not moving forward. So and by the way, I want to be really clear. I honor all of those journeys, all of the journeys where we're claiming things and getting stuck in the data and saying, well, the reason that I am this way is because I'm this astrological sign, or I've had trauma, or I've had pain, or I am this number in the Enneagram, or I am, a lot of times we get stuck in the data because that's what that is. That's data. It's information for you to take in to say, okay, now that I know this, how am I going to navigate to a healthier space for me? But instead, a lot of times we get stuck in the data and we say, oh, I can't change because this is my label. And I honor that journey, but it's really up to you. It's really up to you to choose, especially right now when it's being brought up. So you might as well deal with it. Otherwise, if you ignore it, it's going to feel really uncomfortable. But remember, and I don't know who said this, but it's the God's honest truth. You work on your stuff or your stuff will work on you. Okay. So here's the deal. From today until like Wednesday when it peaks, ask yourself the questions. Ask yourself those questions. What are my limited beliefs about how I show up in the world and how I really show myself? Where are my fears and what are they about truly? Because a lot of times you might think they're about something on the surface, but when you go back a little bit deeper, it might be something else. It might be something from your childhood, but you don't know unless you sit with it. So that's number one. And then number two, when you figure all that stuff out, don't get stuck in that data. Say to yourself, okay, from Wednesday after you're done with lunch to Sunday, when you wake up in the morning, what do I want to do about that? How do I want to sort through that? When am I going to let go of that? And I don't mean let go of it and say, condone behaviors that may have caused pain. But when am I going to let go of the pain that was caused me? When am I going to put that down? Because it may have been happening 20 years ago and you're still carrying it around. That doesn't help you. When we talk about letting go, the full moon is the best time releasing things that don't serve you. The thoughts of claiming this person or this habit or this zodiac sign or this Enneagram, that's why I do this. That's where my pain point comes from. And I'm just going to claim the hell out of that. Instead of saying, you know what? There are positive sides to being a Virgo. Very nurturing. Maybe I should tap into that. My parent was traumatized. I don't need to claim that anymore. That's their business. My business is to sit back and say, how can I heal myself? And in doing so, most of us, as you know, through the current of energy, when we heal ourselves, we could very well heal that traumatized parent. And that's kind of a kindness that's like a bonus for healing yourself. So when we think to ourselves, am I owning these labels or are they owning me? And where am I going to release them? Okay. So that's what this full moon is about. So let's pull out our little animal cards. Now, mind you, I love these. If you love these too, they're so soft and gentle. There's a link if you love them and you haven't gotten them yet. And you know what? I would use a new deck, but I just love these so much, and I haven't found a deck that I love. If you know what? Here's the thing. I love all kinds of decks, especially like somebody had a Golden Girls deck. That was fun as hell. I'm in like some tarot group in the and they do tarot and oracle cards in the group, and somebody had a Golden Girls deck, which I thought was awesome. If you have a deck you love, let me know what it is, and I'll look at it because I always am up for new decks. I mean, I have a whole credenza back here full of them, but I try to like I like this one for this reading. So anyways, what we're going to ask Spirit today is based on the energy of the week, which I think honestly, it's the culmination of asking you to clean up the byproducts of everything that's happened. And like we're really in a much better place than we were, say, this time 2 years ago, last year, or even last month. Because I think right now it's a lot clearer and more and we're ready for that really deep honesty with self to ask these kinds of questions. So if you're new and you're just joining me, go ahead and watch the replay because the first half of this is going to be really good and explain why this is so important. But because we are going through that full moon in Leo with North Node and Taurus and South Node in Scorpio, and how that all blends together and how the energy of this week is so inviting to heal any sort of traumatization or pain or any other, like where I'm claiming labels that are not serving me. Okay. So we're going to ask Spirit to share with us what is it that we need to know to support us in that radical self honesty, which is really radical self love, to kind of have that loving, no shame, no blame conversation with self that helps me turn this to not sit in the data, but to actually utilize the data to create a healing process for myself. So, what is it we need to know? So, let's just kind of see where this goes. They told me to do like this. Oh, hello. Okay. Oh, fun. Ooh, that is so funny. You can't make shit up, y'all. You just can't. That's even funnier. And they're all, well, apparently none of us know what the hell is going on because everybody showed up upside down. And I think it is very much, if you're new to me, again, Soul Coach Michele, if you're new to me, when I do upside down cards, it's not like, oh my God, doom and gloom. It's more about, I didn't know that, I forgot that I knew that, or I know that and I don't want to. Which, when it shows up like that, it's saying, I know you don't want to, but you kind of have to. So I think it's a little bit of, I forgot that I knew that, and I know that, but I don't want to. So, which is all about being a little bit afraid. So here's the funny thing. So what was I talking about at the beginning of all this? Leo energy and the full moon shining a light, lighting up that primetime version of you, that Instagram influencer version of you. Yes, even if you are an introvert. Oh my goodness, it's peacock in reverse. And what does that say right there? It says, let it shine. Duh, holy crap. I'm telling you what, you cannot make this shit up. You saw me shuffle. I don't know how to do like close up hand card magic. I don't know how to do that crap. I can't even shuffle like a Vegas person. So, anyways, let it shine, which is just reinforcing the whole concept of this full moon, and what's going on in the skies around that energy for this week and in all the way into Sunday is go ahead and let it shine. Figure out what is it. You just might have been afraid of it, and that's why it's a little bit buried. But if you get quiet and you ask yourself, you know what your shine is. And it doesn't mean that you have to go star on Broadway. It might mean you're just going to speak your truth about where you work. It might be how you parent. It might be how you parent a fur baby like I have. It might be stepping into your health. It might be mind, body, soul wellness. I'm going to start back to my yoga practice. Like today, I'm going to start back to my yoga practice. After we're done here, I will probably go do some yoga, which I have not done. Poo poo. I have not done in forever. So it's, where do I need to show up and shine, whether it be for myself, sharing my gifts into the world, all of that kind of stuff. What is it? What is that? Like, I got to finish the books for my people in manifesting mentorship on receiving. Maybe that's my shadow because I've been kind of putting it off, but I know what I'm going to say now because Spirit told me last weekend. But anyways, excuse me, where am I showing up and shining? Or where do I need to show up and shine? And that might be, it's upside down because I'm not sure I remember that. So come back to it. It's been kind of a weird 2 years. So sometimes we got to remember who we really are and what does that mean for how we show up. Now, if you did come to the Reconnect Align Manifest workshop I did in January, pull out your stuff. Look at that and see where is there any kind of congruency about where to show up and shine. Okay. If you did not attend that workshop, I will be holding another one probably in March. I was thinking about doing it this month, but Spirit is saying no. So we will be doing it in March. And you can come to that one. But anyways, so I think it's really interesting that the first card is all about letting yourself shine. And then, y'all, again, cannot make this shit up. What sign is this moon in? Oh, look, it's Leo. Showing up upside down again, and I think this is be generous of spirit. Now, what I think this means is understand what your leadership is. And I don't necessarily mean you have to be like a leader, like you're going to show up and be like the leader of some big cause, or you're going to go into politics, or, you know, whatever being a leader looks like in the general society. Being a leader might be to yourself. Where am I going to lead myself with integrity? I mean, when you think about Leos, they always have this air of regalness. And when we think of regalness, it's I am the king or queen of all that I survey within myself, right? Because we can only control us. But if I can look at myself and say, I'm accountable and responsible, and I also reap all of the awesome when it comes to when I make a commitment to myself and then I'm accountable to myself to follow that through, that's when I show up and I can shine. And when you see be generous of spirit, that means don't hold back that shine. There's a lot of fear that gets in the way. That what will other people think of me? What will others what if the people that I love will think that I'm a cuckoo for saying whatever? Or what if I do stuff and it pisses people off? But what are you giving up to placate someone else? Giving up yourself. So when we're generous of spirit to ourselves, by showing up for ourselves and shining, we shine for others. And when we hold stuff back, it's so funny because if you're watching this and you're a woopreneur like me or a solopreneur, and you hear things like people like George Cal and other folks that are in the marketing space for solopreneur people, it's like they always say give away everything for free or give away a lot of content for free. If you are generous of spirit, you're sharing your light with other folks. And yeah, some people might just pick up the free stuff, but some people might make an appointment with you or buy the piece of art that you're making. Or, when we share our gifts of creativity, and creativity shows up as food, it shows up as art, it shows up as lessons or teaching, it shows up as healing arts, whether it be alternative or Western medicine. It shows up in so many ways. And being generous of spirit doesn't necessarily mean you got to give everything away for free, but being generous of spirit also is like showing up as a leader, not just for yourself, but for others. And being a leader doesn't mean banging people over the head with your viewpoint. Being a leader means showing up and acting with integrity for self and being an example of that integrity, of that self honesty, of that self love for others. So you shining and being generous of spirit about that shine, it strengthens your own solar plexus, your own power source, your own truth, while also showing others that they can do it too. Okay, so we have this peacock let it shine story mixed with the lion spirit of being generous of spirit in your leadership. And it's so cute. And of course, on Valentine's Day, and we see it show up upside down because I think a lot of us forget to love ourselves. And the otter spirit, and you've seen the videos where the little otters are swimming around, but they're all hugging. I mean, they're just the most gorgeous little lovey creatures. And look at that, we have a heart. Happy Valentine's Day from Spirit. Um, and what this tells you is you're never alone. Again, this is a co-creative process. They don't call it co-creation for nothing because you're trying to do it alone. We're all in this together. You're not navigating the shadow alone. People are holding space for you. No one's going to do it for you. You do have to walk your individual journey because it's your lesson, but you're walking with others. Other people can't show up and fix it, but they can hold space for you while you do it, and vice versa. Again, that's the generosity of spirit there, being that leader of both doing your work and holding space. You're never alone. So this is an interesting read compared with the energy. I mean, and like I said, I always pull the cards fresh, fresh off the presses. And I talk about the energy of the week, but the energy of this week is all about, full moon Leo with the North and South node, which is how do we show up and shine? Because full moon is shining on the Leo, which is like, hi, here's me, just Jack, how I show up. And then you got the other stuff going on going, oh, what if someone sees me showing up? And what's holding me back? Like that kind of stuff. Like, if someone sees me showing up, what's going on there? And am I claiming labels as an excuse to not show up? Well, my Virgo sign, she's always about being nurturing other people. I can't shine from there. I am Virgo Pisces Cap. I mean, like, if I leaned into that lower end or that lower vibrational energy of I'm an introvert who like goes outside and weeds the garden, which by the way, I don't do. I'm going to probably force myself to do it this year, but the thing is, if that's what I did, instead of saying, you know what, Virgos are super nurturing, and I'm going to learn how to nurture myself and do the stuff and show up here and shine to help nurture others. I would be sitting in the lower vibrational and claiming, oh, well, this is the reason I can't. Or I have this number in the Enneagram. I had my Enneagram done like 10 years ago and I can't remember all my numbers. And then saying, well, that's why I am this way. It's like you're collecting data or claiming nevers and alwayses and ancestral trauma or current trauma or past life trauma, which I respect, because trauma is shitty. I mean, it sucks. But if we're gonna sit in that as like, here's the data that I am using to label myself, instead of saying this is the data I'm gonna use to ask myself, okay, what do I want to do with this? How do I heal this? Because healing stuff, it's not like all crystals and tea and shit. That's just the fun part. That's the Taurian stuff that we want to move to. That my rose quartz makes me feel good when I hold it because the vibration is good. But if I put it down and I still don't do my self love work, then it's not magic. I'm the magic. I got to do the work, right? So I got to learn how to shine and let go of this, like, other stuff, these other labels, or rather, and um, where's her name? Camille Gray said, these kinds of things can show up and they can make us really savvy about our pain, but they can never make us free of it. So you can know your Enneagram inside and out, or your Virgos and all of your zodiac signs and where all your things are, or your entire ancestral history back to your fifth great grandparent and why this wound is there and all this other stuff. You can be super savvy about all that, but it doesn't free you from it. The shadow work, doing the work, frees you from it. The showing up and shining, and then when your limiting beliefs or your fears show up, having a conversation and asking for their intelligent message. And then saying, being generous of spirit, that doesn't just mean being a leader of others. It means being a leader for yourself. Lead yourself through this. Say, I know this is going to hurt and it might be scary, but I'm going to do it anyway, because I know I'm not alone through this whole thing. So let it shine. Be generous of spirit with self and others, mostly self, and you're not alone. Okay. That's this message, plus all this moon stuff. So, I hope this is really a great week for you. The energy we can show up and say, okay, this is going to be crazy. Or we can show up and say, this is an opportunity to finally break through that barrier of sitting in my data or moving or utilizing it to heal. And I hope you do the latter. If you don't, that's okay. There's going to always be more opportunities. But I'm the kind of person of, let's just rip that Band-Aid off right now and get this shit done. And if that's you, this might be a good time, to have one of those calls, whether it's a clarity call, a clarity conversation, or maybe a prosperity pep talk. Or if you want to talk about joining the manifesting mentorship, which I will have open spots come April. If you want to talk about that, we can do that. Or just show up to one of the Realign Connect, or Reconnect, Align, and Manifest workshops, and we can talk about that kind of stuff. But working with another person is always helpful because it does help to keep you accountable. So whether it's me or somebody else, I encourage you to find somebody that you absolutely love and adore and want to work with, to kind of move through using the data instead of sitting in it, and making sure that you step into your full shine. Okay? Have a great week. That's the message. Show up, shine, and do it anyway, even if you're scared. I love you so much. Enjoy your full moon this week. We have it until Sunday. So lots of meditation. Do you some grounding. It'll be good. And that's it. I love you so much. Have a wonderful week. See you next Monday. Bye for now.